welcome to the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry channel. I'm Maynard Edwards, 32nd degree, KCCH. You know the drill. Punch that subscribe button, turn on the notifications. Freemasons, drop a comment below and give us a thumbs up. It really does help support the channel. And if you want to support the channel a little bit more, click that join button over there. When you click that join button, you're going to find out about our Lost Media Archive memberships. And for as little as $2 a month, you can get access to a whole ton of lost Masonic media and at the same time help us preserve some great lost Masonic media. Some of this stuff is over 80, 90 years old in some cases and never been digitized. So by supporting the channel, you're helping us support that. There's details at the link above, the link down in the description, and at the end of the video. The cornerstone of the George Washington National Masonic Memorial in Alexandria, Virginia, was laid 100 years ago. And to celebrate the 100th anniversary of that cornerstone being laid, the memorial is hosting some really incredible events President's Day weekend 2023. So we're talking 17th, 18th, 19th, but it ends with a big parade on Monday the 20th. Freemasons, you're encouraged to attend and participate in that parade. And then there's going to be a reenactment of the cornerstone laying and a rededication of the cornerstone. All the details are there at the website on the address on the screen. And you can, of course, click that link above or in the description below. Inside the George Washington National Memorial, there is a lodge that meets. It's Alexandria-Washington Lodge number 22. And one of the most impressive things about this lodge, not only its location, but the very first Worshipful Master of Alexandria-Washington number 22 was none other than George Washington himself. So this is George Washington's lodge and George Washington's lodge room. In our last video, we got some of the history of the lodge and we talked to the Worshipful Master, Brother David Gabriel Bella. And after that, we said, hey, can you give us a little tour and show us around? And he did. And we had a great tour of Alexandria-Washington number 22. All right, Worshipful Brother, this is your workspace. This is your lodge room, and this is where the lodge meets regularly?
Yep, second Thursdays of the month, and then we're up here every Thursday either practicing or doing degree work, yeah.
This is a very large lodge room. I mean, my home lodge is large-ish, but not nearly this large. Now, D.C., how many officer positions are there? Being chartered in Pennsylvania, and then you're through Washington, D.C. and into Virginia. Is your degree work more, this is Masonic Nerddom 101 here, is your degree work more related to Pennsylvania Masonry or Virginia Masonry?
Oh, definitely Virginia.
Okay.
Definitely Virginia. I mean, it was only a 5-year stint with Pennsylvania, so
Because like most Masonic lodges, and you always got to say most, there's 7 officers positions, plus you got, the guy outside the door, and then you've got a few others. But in Pennsylvania, there's like 12, right. Like the Pursuivant and other positions you've never heard of, none of that stuff.
No, I think maybe the chaplain and the marshal is probably the sexiest we get, so.
Right, okay. So the paintings that you talked about are examples of what we would call a Masonic tracing board. In other words, and there's another example in what you call the replica lodge room, which we'll talk about in a second. And these are the new ones that when we were interviewing yourself and Chris in our last video, those are examples of Masonic degrees, but sort of spelled out in a 2-dimensional way rather than in the allegory that we'd see in a lodge. So these are those. They're right. Beautiful.
Yeah, so it tells the story, first degree, second degree, and then the Master Mason degree. And each one has each little inch of the painting has a unique tidbit about that degree. And we actually walked the EAs and the fellow crafts and the new Master Masons over to the tracing boards and explain, like, oh, do you remember this or this or this? So it's really great illustrative, informative tool.
I see why it's one of your favorites. They are stunning in their symbology and their presentation. They are absolutely beautiful. And I'll put on screen here, this is the one, these are the modern ones, and then here's more of a historic rendering of a tracing board, something that we would consider a little bit more traditional for folks who are non-Masons. And each one of these symbols teaches a part of the morality of the lessons, if you will, of Freemasonry. And these are stunning. So what else are we looking at around the room here? We've got a few portraits here that I don't necessarily recognize. How about this brother over here?
So this is, both of these on the south wall are kind of interesting. So these are paintings that are about 100, 150 years old, and they're stylized. They're kind of way more grandiose than Lafayette, or Brother Washington actually looked, right? So Lafayette's wearing a Knights Templar apron, and then Washington's wearing...
That's Lafayette. Okay, I wasn't even tracking that. I was like, is that like Washington with a brown wig instead of a powdered wig?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not historically accurate, but they're personal kind of things that we cherish because they're cool paintings, you know?
All right, now I have a dumb, this is a Maryland versus Virginia question that we may edit out later. Your pillars are in the south as opposed to in the west. Is there a reason for that?
Functionality. It's just we run out of space.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
people bump into them.
that is an absolute fair reason to do this. And your altar cloth. Let's get out of the way so folks can see that. It's got the dates and the prominent information of the lodge. And what else in this room are we missing? There's a couple of busts of Washington around. Now, I know there's been some changes very recently, or coming changes in Virginia of flags and things, but you've got several flags on display here. I recognize Washington, D.C., obviously the Union Jack, the Virginia state flag. What else have you got?
So we got the UK, D.C., Pennsylvania, New York, and Massachusetts. So each of those lodges represent lodges that we have fraternal ties with. So in the UK, we have Beverly, in Beverly, England, Constitutional Lodge, Potomac in D.C. In Pennsylvania, we have Elkins Lodge, New York, Washington Lodge, and then in Massachusetts, Beverly Lodge. So all tied together.
The replica lodge room, which is a little bit more Spartan in terms of its appearance. There's no carpet, it's hardwood floors. The chairs are older. It's obviously meant to look that way. It's meant to look as it did, I'm guessing, in Washington's day?
So the lodge moved into the Market Hall in the early 1800s, so a couple years after he died. But what that is really supposed to represent is for future generations like Masons like me at AW22 to remind us of what the original lodge room looked like, because we were meeting in taverns, and then I think in 1802 until the 1940s we were meeting there, and that's where the memorial was founded, the association was founded, and many other famous Masonic events. So it tries to replicate, and it's a replica of our lodge room above City Hall in downtown Alexandria.
Now, there's a replica in there of Washington's gavel that he used to lay the cornerstone for the Capitol. There's a replica in there of some of his other items, but then there is the original clock that was in Washington's bedroom at Mount Vernon when the brother passed away, commemorating that time exactly. How the heck did you guys end up with that? Somebody had to, under the cover of darkness.
Yeah, so two of the three doctors that were at his bedside when he died were members of the lodge, Craik and Dr. Dick. And so the story I like to tell is they cut the cord right when he died, and a couple days later when they went back, Martha told them, said, "This is a very morbid reminder of the exact moment my husband died. Please take this with you." And so that's what they did, and we've had it ever since.
Good bust. What about, our off-screen voice, Brother Chris, has said we should mention the bust behind us here?
Yeah, so there are actually two, and so the one above the master's chair in the east is of George Washington, and I believe it was given to the lodge, or it was constructed in 1932, which was the dedication of the completion of the temple. And then over behind the treasurer's desk is a bust of Harry Truman, and he actually sat in lodge in here. And kind of the fun story we tell is the Secret Service wouldn't allow him in, and he said, "I feel more safe in this room than I do outside with you guys." So he raised a brother to the sublime degree of Master Mason in this lodge room. And obviously he's the Grand Master of Missouri, so who knows what his ritual is like, Virginia versus Missouri. But yeah, it's a great story, and he was a great supporter of us.
There is a chair that purports to belong to Washington that sits in the east. What's the story behind the chair?
Yeah, so the tale is that it was given to us by Washington himself. Definitely came from Mount Vernon, the Mount Vernon estate. The master of the lodge would sit in that chair for about 150 years until the 30s, when that was no longer the case, was no longer feasible. But the Grand Master of Masons in Virginia still gets to sit in the chair, gets his picture taken, and then sometimes the master will sneak in there for his picture too.
You have any part of this that is the one thing that you're going to cherish the most when you take the hat off and have to hand it on to the next brothers? That's the way Masons have done for centuries. It's on to the next man. What is it that you're going to be the most proud to look back and say, happened or that you were able to do while you were the master of AW22, which is, I know, a big question.
Yeah, I think it gets to what we were talking about earlier. Like, February is a big thing, but I'm excited about what happens after. And I think that exact moment of passing on the hat to the next brother is probably going to be the thing I'm most proud of, and I'm going to be passing it on hopefully to Brother Alan Hamilton, who's a really, really good friend of mine, and then he's going to pass it on to Brother Adam Smart, who's also a great Mason and a great friend. So it's that community that we fostered and that friendship that we fostered, and getting them ready to take on this big responsibility is going to be, I think, what's going to mean the most to me.
For more information about Alexandria-Washington number 22, pretty simple address, aw22.org is the web address. Special thanks to Worshipful Brother David Gabriel Bella, who is the sitting Worshipful Master of Alexandria-Washington Lodge number 22. It's so gracious to host us. So thank you to Brother David, but also to all the officers and brothers of Alexandria-Washington Lodge number 22 for taking on the huge task of preserving such an important part of Masonic history and occupying such an important space in the Masonic world. So thank you guys for that, and thank you for being such gracious hosts. Freemasons and anybody really, if you want to know more about the events taking place President's Day weekend 2023, the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th of February, which of course ends up with the parade and the cornerstone rededication. Hit that web address there on the screen, gwmemorial.org, and we've got the links above and below, so please make sure you check that out. There is a way for you to participate, and if you can't get there for some reason, we're going to stream as much of the ceremonies as we can live. So we're going to cover the parade and the rededication ceremony right here on the channel. We're going to get some more inside scoop on the parade and the cornerstone rededication and more info about the George Washington Memorial in the next video when we sit down and we talk to the brother who's in charge of helping get all of this organized. And man, does he have a job to do. Don't forget, subscribe, thumbs up, share the video, leave a comment, and if you can join the channel, I've got some great information about joining the channel coming up right now. This list of names that's going by right here, these are our Lost Media Archive members, and we've got levels that fit every budget. By joining, you're supporting our effort to digitize Masonic media, some of which is close to 100 years old. I'm talking about records, reel-to-reel tapes like the one you're seeing play in the background here, old VHS that nobody really even knows what's on it, all kinds of lost media. We're buying the equipment, we're restoring it, and we're digitizing it, and if you join the archive, it will be made available to you. And we've got archive levels for every budget, as I said, and we've got a collector's level where each month we're going to send you a piece of swag that we have found in the archive. This month, to celebrate the George Washington National Memorial that is going through its cornerstone laying that you heard in this video, we've got a coin that features George Washington taking his oath of office. And if you join at that collector level, we will send you one of those just for being a part of it for the month of February. So do check it out. We appreciate your support. And if you can't support us, that's cool. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, and support us that way.